The stars had always seemed peaceful from Earth. For thousands of years, humans looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. Now, in the year 2347, Admiral Park Do-yoon knew the answer. They were not alone, and the universe was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Do-yoon stood on the bridge of the HS Baekdu, Earth's most powerful warship. The ship floated in complete silence above an alien world called Velos Prime. No one on the planet below knew they were there. No sensor could detect them. No eye could see them. The Baekdu was invisible, wrapped in technology that bent light and fooled every known detection system in the galaxy. Around Do-yoon, his crew worked quietly at their stations. Commander Kim Yuna, his second-in-command, monitored the communication feeds. Chief Engineer Lee Tyson checked the stealth systems for the 100th time. Weapons Officer Shin Ji-woo kept her hands ready near the firing controls, though she hoped she would not need them today. On the main screen, a live transmission played. The signal came from the Galactic Council chamber on the planet below. 7 alien species sat in a massive circular room, their representatives arranged in a half-moon around a central platform. Holographic images floated in the air above them, showing pictures of Earth, its cities, its people, its technology. The Kovani dominated the room. They were tall beings made of living crystal, their bodies catching and reflecting light in beautiful patterns. But their beauty hid cruelty. High Arbiter Mollix, the leader of the council, stood at the center, his crystalline form pulsing with cold blue light. "We have detected a new species in the outer rim," Mollix announced, his voice ringing like struck glass. "They call themselves humans. They inhabit a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system." The hologram zoomed in on Earth. Do-yoon watched his home spin slowly in the alien display. He saw the continents, the oceans, the clouds. He saw everything he loved reduced to data points on an alien screen. "Their technology is primitive," Mollix continued. "They have only recently discovered space travel. Their fastest ships take years to reach their neighboring planets. They still use chemical propulsion. They have not developed fold space technology. They are, in every measurable way, inferior." Laughter echoed through the council chamber. The Drexy ambassador, a serpentine creature with scales that shifted colors, coiled with amusement. "Chemical fuels? How delightfully backward. Do they also use fire for warmth?" More laughter. The Therian representative, a being that looked like a floating mass of tentacles and eyes, added its mockery. "Their lifespans are remarkably short. 80 cycles at most. Barely enough time to learn basic mathematics, let alone contribute anything of value to the galaxy." Do-yoon felt Yuna tense beside him. Her jaw was tight, her eyes fixed on the screen. She understood the alien languages perfectly. She had spent years learning them, living among these species in secret, gathering intelligence that humanity needed to survive. "What is the Council's recommendation?" asked the Borvan delegate, a massive creature covered in thick armor plates. Mollix raised his crystalline arms. "The humans present no threat. Their planet, however, contains valuable resources. Their population is sufficient for labor purposes. I propose a standard harvest." The word hung in the air. Harvest. Do-yoon had seen what that word meant. His reconnaissance ships had witnessed the Kovani harvest other worlds. It was not a gentle process. Cities would burn. Families would be torn apart. The young and strong would be taken as slaves. The old and weak would be left to die on a poisoned, stripped planet. "All in favor?" Mollix asked. 7 hands, tentacles, and appendages rose in agreement. The vote was unanimous. "Then it is decided," Mollix declared. "The invasion fleet will depart in 10 standard rotations. The harvest of Earth will begin shortly after. Let this serve as a reminder to all developing species. The weak exist to serve the strong. This is the natural order of the galaxy. The transmission ended. The council chamber faded from the screen, replaced by the cold darkness of space. Silence filled the bridge of the Baekdu. Every crew member had heard the verdict. Every crew member understood what it meant. Tayson spoke first. They want to enslave us. All of us. 8 billion people. They think we are primitives, Jiwoo said, her voice barely controlled. They think we cannot fight back. Yuna turned to Doyeon. Her eyes were hard, but not with fear. With something else. Something dangerous. What are your orders, Admiral? Do-hyun did not answer immediately. He walked to the observation window and looked down at Velos Prime. The planet was beautiful from space. Green continents, blue oceans, white clouds. It looked peaceful. But he knew what lived there. He knew the cruelty that hid behind the beauty. He thought about Earth. He thought about his daughter, now grown, working as a teacher in Seoul. He thought about his parents, long dead, but whose graves still waited for his return in vision. He thought about every human being who had ever lived, who had ever dreamed, who had ever loved. The council had dismissed them all in less than an hour. They never asked us what we wanted, Doyeon said quietly. They never tried to communicate. They saw us and decided we were nothing but resources to be harvested. He turned back to his crew. 46 other ships floated in formation around the Baekdu, all invisible, all waiting. 300 more waited throughout the galaxy, positioned at every major Corvani installation. Humanity had been watching the stars for a long time. They had learned much about their neighbors. The neighbors had learned nothing about them. They made one mistake, Doyeon continued. They assumed that because they could not see us, we did not exist. They assumed that because our radio signals seemed primitive, we had nothing more to offer. He activated the fleet-wide communication channel. Every human ship in the galaxy heard his next words. This is Admiral Park Doyeon. Operation Silent Thunder is now active. All ships maintain stealth protocols. We will not fire first. We will not attack without provocation. But when they come for Earth, we will show them who we really are. He paused, looking at his crew, at the stars, at the invisible fleet that surrounded him. They laughed at us today. Let them. Soon, they will understand. Humanity is not prey. Humanity was never prey. We were just waiting for the right moment to show our teeth. Yuna smiled, and it was not a kind smile. They have no idea what is coming. No, Doyeon agreed. They do not. And that is exactly how we want it. The Baekdu remained in orbit, silent and invisible, watching the council world below. The aliens continued their lives, unaware that their fate had already been sealed by the ghosts floating among their stars. 49 years before the council voted to harvest Earth, a young scientist named Choi Yoonji made a mistake that changed everything. Yoonji worked at the Korean Aerospace Research Institute in Daejeon. She was brilliant but impatient. Her colleagues called her reckless. Her superiors called her dangerous. She called herself curious. On a cold November night in 2298, her curiosity broke the universe. She was experimenting with quantum fields, trying to create a new type of energy source. The math said it was impossible. The physics said could not work. Yoonji did not care what the math and physics said. She pressed the activation button anyway. The machine screamed. Light bent. Space did. For one terrible second, Yoonji saw through reality itself. She saw the fabric of existence fold like paper. She saw distances become meaningless. She saw the stars within arm's reach. Then the machine exploded. Yoonji survived, though she spent 3 months in the hospital. The laboratory was destroyed. The government wanted to arrest her. But when they reviewed the data from the experiment, they found something incredible. For exactly 0.003 seconds, Yunji had created a hole in space-time. She had touched fold space, the dimension that allowed faster-than-light travel. The government quietly released her. They gave her unlimited funding and a new laboratory hidden deep underground. They gave her the best minds in the world. They gave her one order: do it again, but this time, do not explode. It took Yunji 12 years to perfect the technology. By 2310, humanity had its first fold space engine. A ship could travel from Earth to Alpha Centauri in minutes instead of years. The galaxy was suddenly very small, but Yunji gave humanity something even more valuable than speed. Her experiments with bent light led to the development of stealth technology, unlike anything the universe had ever seen. Human ships could become truly invisible. Not hidden, not camouflaged, invisible. Light passed around them. Sensors passed through them. They existed outside normal detection. The United Earth Defense Force was created in 2315. Its first mission was simple: explore the galaxy and find out if humanity was alone. They found the answer quickly. Humanity was not alone, and they were in terrible danger. Captain Jian commanded the stealth frigate Dokdo, one of the first exploration vessels. She was 34 years old, born in Jeju Island, raised on stories of the sea. Now she sailed between stars instead of waves. But her heart remained that of an explorer. In 2320, the Dokdo discovered the Galactic Union. Jian and her crew watched from the shadows as they learned the truth about their cosmic neighbors. The Union contained hundreds of species spread across thousands of worlds. It had existed for 10,000 years. It had laws and traditions and culture. It also had a dark heart. "Captain," said Lieutenant Han Minseo, the ship's tactical analyst, "I have finished analyzing the Union's history." Jian looked up from her command chair. "What did you find?" Minseo was young, barely 25, but her mind was sharp as a blade. She had a gift for seeing patterns that others missed. Right now, her face was pale. "The Union does not accept new species as equals," Minseo explained. "They classify civilizations into two categories. Those with advanced technology join the Council. Those without are classified as resources." "Resources," Jian repeated. The word tasted wrong in her mouth. "They call it harvesting. When they find a developing world, they wait until the population is large enough to be useful. Then they invade. They take the planet's resources. They take the people as slave labor. They leave nothing behind but ash and bones." Jian stood slowly. "How many worlds have they harvested? In the last 1,000 years? Over 400. The bridge fell silent. 400 worlds. Billions of lives. Entire civilizations erased because they were not strong enough to fight back. "We need to warn Earth," said Medical Officer Yoon Hana. She was the ship's doctor, a gentlewoman who had never imagined she would witness such horror. "If we reveal ourselves, they will find Earth," Jian said. "We are not ready to fight. We have 12 ships. They have millions. Then what do we do?" Hana asked. Jian looked at the stars on the view screen. Somewhere out there, Earth floated peacefully, unaware of the danger. 8 billion people living their lives, falling in love, raising children, dreaming dreams. They did not know that monsters waited in the dark, counting their numbers, calculating their value. "We watch," Jian said finally. "We learn. We prepare." And so humanity became the silent watchers. For the next 27 years, cloaked human ships spread across the galaxy. They mapped every Union installation. They studied every alien technology. They recorded every council meeting. They learned the languages, the customs, the weaknesses of their enemies. They also built in a dead solar system on the edge of the galaxy. Humanity constructed a hidden fleet. The system had been abandoned by the Union centuries ago, deemed worthless. It was perfect. Asteroid bases became shipyards. Empty moons became training grounds. Slowly, quietly, humanity created an armada. Lieutenant Minseo, now a senior strategist, developed a doctrine that would guide humanity's approach. She called it the Ghost Protocol. "We cannot match their numbers," she wrote in her famous report. "We cannot match their industrial capacity, but we can match their arrogance. They believe no one can hide from them. They believe their sensors see everything. They believe they are the masters of the galaxy. We will use their pride against them. We will be everywhere and nowhere. We will see everything while remaining unseen. And when the moment comes, we will strike from the shadows with overwhelming precision." The Council detected Earth's radio signals in 2347. They traced the signals to a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system. They saw chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. They saw a species that seemed like perfect prey. They never looked up. They never wondered if someone was watching them. They never considered that the primitives might not be primitive at all. High Arbiter Malix called for a harvest. The Council agreed without discussion. It was routine. Another weak species. Another easy conquest. Aboard the Dokdo, now an old ship with an old captain, Jian received the news. She had spent 27 years waiting for this moment. She had known it would come eventually. Humanity could not hide forever. "They are coming," she told her crew. Hannah, now gray-haired but still gentle, looked at her captain. "Are we ready?" Jian thought about the fleet hidden in the dead system. 347 warships, each more advanced than anything the Union possessed. She thought about the thousands of soldiers trained for this exact moment. She thought about the decades of preparation, the sacrifices, the secrets. "Yes," she said, "we are ready. We have been ready for a long time." She sent a coded message to Admiral Dofun, her former student, now the commander of Earth's defense. The message was simple. "They are coming." The reply came moments later. "Let them come." The Silent Watchers prepared to become something else entirely. They prepared to become the galaxy's worst nightmare. The Kovani invasion fleet gathered above their homeworld like a storm waiting to fall. 2,000 warships arranged themselves in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of their sun. Each ship was massive, built for conquest, armed with weapons that could level cities in seconds. Together, they formed the largest military force assembled in 300 years. Admiral Doyan watched them from the bridge of the Baekdu. His invisible ship floated less than 10 kilometers from the Corvani command vessel. He could see individual crew members moving behind the viewing ports. He could read the name of the enemy flagship, Eternal Dominion. "They are beautiful ships," Commander Yuna said quietly. "It is almost a shame." "Beautiful does not mean good," Doyun replied. "These ships have burned hundreds of worlds. Every crystal in their hull was paid for with innocent blood." Yuna nodded. She had no argument. She had spent 15 years living secretly among the Union species, pretending to be a slave trader, gathering intelligence. She had seen the labor camps. She had seen the harvested worlds, stripped of life and left as empty husks. She knew exactly what these beautiful ships had done. Chief Engineer Tayson approached with a datapad in his hands. He was a large man with rough hands and kind eyes. He had built the Baekdu's engines himself, piece by piece, improving on alien technology until human ships were faster and stronger than anything the Union possessed. "The fleet is ready, Admiral," Tayson reported. "All 347 ships report green status. Stealth systems are operating at full capacity. Weapons are charged. We can strike at any moment." Dohyun shook his head. "Not yet?" We wait for them to come to us. With respect, sir, why? The question came from Navigation Officer Oh Si-jun, a young man who had joined the fleet only 2 years ago. He was eager and impatient. He reminded Do-yun of himself many years ago. We have the advantage. We could destroy their fleet right now, before they even know we exist. We could, Do-yun agreed. And then what? The Union has millions of ships. We have less than 400. If we attack first, we become the aggressors. Other species might rally to the Corvani. We would face a war we cannot win. He walked to the tactical display, where a hologram showed the position of every human ship in the galaxy. Small blue dots scattered across the stars, invisible guardians watching over alien worlds. Our ships are positioned at every major Union installation, Do-yun continued. Every military base, every shipyard, every council world. When the Corvani attack Earth, they will not just face our defense fleet. They will suddenly realize that we have been among them all along. Every world they care about will be held hostage at the same moment. Si-jun's eyes widened as he understood. We are not just defending Earth. We are showing them they cannot win. Exactly. Fear is a weapon. When they see what we can do, when they understand how long we have been watching them, they will know that fighting us means losing everything. Their pride will break. Their confidence will shatter. And we will not need to destroy them. They will surrender. Weapons Officer Shin-ji-woo looked up from her console. She was a serious woman who rarely smiled, but her eyes held a fierce light. And if they do not surrender, if they choose to fight anyway, Do-hyun met her gaze. Then we show them exactly how outmatched they are. On the enemy flagship Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Veltrix prepared for conquest. He was a Corvani of ancient lineage. His crystalline form shot through with veins of precious gold. He had commanded 17 harvests in his long career. This would be his 18th. The fleet is assembled, his second officer reported. We can depart for the human system at your command. Veltrix studied the holographic image of Earth floating before him. Such a small world. Such weak creatures living upon it. The harvest would be simple. The humans had no fleet worth mentioning. Their weapons were primitive. They would fall within days. What do we know about their military capabilities? Veltrix asked, though he was not truly interested. It was merely procedure. Their most advanced weapons are nuclear devices, the officer replied. Dangerous to themselves, but easily neutralized by our shields. Their spacecraft are slow and poorly armed. Their ground forces use projectile weapons. They pose no threat to a modern military. Veltrix made a sound like grinding glass. The Corvani equivalent of contempt. Another primitive species that looked at the stars without understanding what waited there. How many times must we teach this lesson? He gave the order. The fleet began to move. 2,000 warships sliding into fold space. Destination, Earth. They would arrive in 6 hours. The harvest would begin shortly after. Veltrix allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. In a few days, he would add another conquest to his record. The humans would become slaves. Their world would become resources. And the galaxy would continue as it always had, with the strong ruling the weak. He did not notice the small distortion in space, just off his ship's bow. He did not see the invisible vessel that watched his every move. He did not know that his words were being transmitted directly to Admiral Do-yun. On the Bagdu, the human crew prepared for battle. Taesun ran final checks on the weapon systems. Human plasma lances could fire 3 times faster than Corvani models. Human shields could regenerate in seconds instead of minutes. Human missiles used targeting systems that could track a single enemy through an asteroid field and never lose lock. How did we get so far ahead of them? Si-jun asked as he watched the diagnostic reports. They have had thousands of years to develop technology. We have had less than 50. Tazen smiled, though there was no joy in it. They stopped trying. When you rule the galaxy, when no one can challenge you, you become lazy. You use the same designs your ancestors used. You stop asking if there is a better way. He tapped the engine controls, feeling the quiet hum of power beneath his fingers. We were different. We knew from the beginning that we were small and weak. We knew that giants waited in the dark. So we worked harder. We thought faster. We turned our fear into fuel. Yuna joined them, her expression calm but focused. The enemy fleet has entered fold space. They will arrive at Earth in 6 hours. And our ships? Do-hyun asked. Already in position. The Earth Defense Fleet is ready. The stealth units at Union installations are standing by. Everyone knows their role. Do-hyun nodded slowly. He thought about his daughter, his grandchildren, everyone he loved on the small blue planet that waited as bait for the approaching storm. He thought about the generations of humans who had lived without knowing how close extinction had always been. Broadcast to all ships, he ordered. This message is for every member of the United Earth Defense Force. He paused, gathering his thoughts. Then he spoke. Today, we stop hiding. Today, we show the galaxy who we really are. For 50 years, we have watched from the shadows. We have learned. We have prepared. We have built this moment with patience and sacrifice. Now the moment has arrived. His voice grew stronger. The enemy thinks we are primitives. They think we are prey. They are coming to harvest our world, our people, our future. They believe this will be easy. They believe we will break and surrender. They are wrong. He looked at his crew, at the men and women who had dedicated their lives to this cause. We will not attack first. We will let them see Earth. We will let them believe they have already won. And then, when their arrogance is complete, we will show them the truth. We will decloak every ship, every weapon, every soldier humanity has been hiding. And they will understand, finally, that they were never the hunters. They were always the hunted. He smiled, and it was the smile of a man who had waited a very long time for this moment. Prepare for battle, and remember why we fight. Not for conquest, not for revenge. We fight because every life deserves to be free. We fight because no one should live in fear of being harvested. We fight because we are human, and we do not bow. The fleet acknowledged. 347 ships, invisible and ready, waited for the storm to arrive. The galaxy was about to change forever. The Kovani invasion fleet emerged from fold space like a wave of crystal and fire. 2,000 warships spread across the Sol system, their sensors sweeping the darkness, their weapons charging with anticipation. Supreme Commander Veltrix stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, watching Earth grow larger on his display. It was a beautiful world. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds drifting across its surface. Veltrix could already see the cities glowing on the night side, millions of lights marking millions of lives that would soon belong to the Corvani. Scan the system, he ordered. Identify any military assets. His sensor officer worked quickly, crystalline fingers dancing over the controls. After a moment, the officer reported with barely contained amusement. I am detecting 12 vessels in orbit around the third planet. They appear to be armed, but their weapon signatures are primitive. Nuclear warheads. Chemical propulsion. They pose no threat. Veltrix made the grinding sound of Corvani laughter. 12 ships. They sent 12 ships to face 2,000. Are they brave or merely stupid? Perhaps both, Commander. The fleet moved toward Earth, confident and unstoppable. The 12 human ships remained in their positions, making no attempt to flee or attack. They simply waited, like insects before a storm. Aboard the HS Vakedu, Admiral Dohim watched the enemy approach. His ship was invisible, positioned directly in the path of the Corvani fleet. Around him, 300 human warships waited in perfect silence, scattered throughout the system like ghosts. "They are within range," Yuna reported. "All weapons can target the enemy fleet." "Not yet," Doyen said. His voice was calm, almost peaceful. "Let them get closer. Let them feel safe." Jiwoo gripped her weapons console, her knuckles white with tension. "They are almost at Earth. They could start the bombardment at any moment." "They will not. Not immediately." The Kolvani like to announce themselves. They like to give their victims a chance to surrender and beg for mercy. It makes the harvest more satisfying for them. As if on cue, the enemy flagship opened a communication channel. Supreme Commander Veltrix's voice echoed across every frequency, reaching every human ear on Earth and beyond. "Attention, humans. This is Supreme Commander Veltrix of the Corvani Empire. Your world has been marked for harvest by the Galactic Council. You will power down your weapons and surrender your population for processing. Resistance is impossible. Compliance will result in marginally less suffering. You have 1 standard hour to respond." The message ended. On Earth, panic spread through the cities. 8 billion people looked up at their sky and saw the impossible. 2,000 alien warships blotting out the stars. Military commanders shouted orders that meant nothing. Politicians gave speeches that helped no one. Families held each other and waited for the end. But the end was not coming. Not for humanity. "Open a channel," Doyun ordered. "All frequencies. Make sure every ship in their fleet can hear me." Yuna activated the communications array. "Channel open, Admiral." Dohyun stood straight, his hands clasped behind his back. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 50 years of waiting. "This is Admiral Park Doyen of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered sovereign human space. You will power down your weapons and surrender, or you will be destroyed." Silence followed. Then, laughter. Veltrix's crystalline voice rang with contempt. "Destroyed? By whom? I see 12 primitive vessels. I command 2,000 warships. You have no fleet. You have no allies. You have nothing but words and desperation." Doyen smiled. "Show yourselves." The word traveled across the stars at the speed of light. On every human ship, hands moved to controls that had waited years for this moment, and the universe changed. Across the Sol system, space itself seemed to shimmer and crack. Ships appeared where nothing had been. Not 1 or 2. Not dozens. Hundreds. 347 warships materialized in perfect position around the Corvani fleet. They were behind the enemy. They were above the enemy. They were below the enemy. They were between enemy ships, so close that collision seemed inevitable. The Eternal Dominion sensor officer screamed in alarm. "Commander, ships! Hundreds of ships. They are everywhere." Veltrix's crystalline form flickered with shock. "That is impossible. Our sensors showed empty space." But the human fleet was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, at exactly the same moment, similar scenes unfolded. Over Velos Prime, the Council's homeworld, 50 human warships decloaked, their weapons aimed at the planet below. Over every major Corvani military base, human vessels appeared from nothing. Over every shipyard, every supply depot, every strategic installation, the ghosts revealed themselves. On Velos Prime, Captain Beek Jian opened a channel to the Galactic Council. Her voice was steady, almost gentle. "High Arbiter Malix, you voted to enslave humanity. You called us weak. You called us primitive. You never looked up. You never wondered if someone was watching." In the council chamber, Chaos erupted. 7 species screamed and pointed at the displays showing human ships surrounding their worlds. Moloch's crystalline form pulsed with frantic light. Where did they come from? How long have they been there? Jian answered his question. We have been watching you for 27 years. We have mapped every military installation. We have studied every weapon. We have learned every secret. And you never knew we existed until we wanted you to know. Back in the Sol system, Veltrix tried to regain control. His fleet outnumbered the human ships in front of him. Perhaps the situation was not as hopeless as it seemed. All ships, target the human vessels. Fire at will. The Kovani fleet launched its attack. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked toward the human ships. It should have been overwhelming. It should have been the end. It was neither. The human ships moved like dancers, like flowing water, like nothing the Kovani had ever seen. They slipped between the plasma bolts with impossible precision. Their shields, when hit, absorbed the energy and regenerated in seconds. Not a single human ship was damaged. Then the humans fired back. The human plasma lenses moved 3 times, faster than Kovani weapons. Their targeting systems never missed. Their missiles tracked through the chaos of battle like hunting animals, finding their prey no matter how the enemy twisted and turned. The first Kovani warship exploded 18 seconds after the battle began. The second followed 3 seconds later. Then the third. Then a dozen more. On the Baekdu, Jiwoo worked her weapons console with fierce joy. Every shot found its target. Every target became fire and debris. They cannot match us, she reported. Their shields collapse under our weapons. Their sensors cannot track our movements. We are faster, stronger, and smarter in every way. Dohan watched the battle unfold on the tactical display. Blue dots representing human ships wove through red dots representing the enemy. The red dots were disappearing at an alarming rate. Minimize casualties where possible, he ordered. We want them to surrender, not to die. The order went out. Human ships began targeting engines and weapons instead of cores. Kovani vessels went dark and drifted, disabled but not destroyed. 18 minutes after the battle began, Supreme Commander Veltrix faced a terrible truth. He had lost 400 ships. Nearly a quarter of his fleet was gone or disabled. The human ships had not taken a single serious hit. This is impossible, he whispered. We are the masters of the galaxy. We cannot lose to primitives. But they were losing. The numbers did not lie. The wreckage spreading across the Sol system did not lie. The human ships dancing through his fleet like predators among prey did not lie. Commander, his first officer said, we must retreat. We cannot win this battle. Veltrix wanted to argue. He wanted to fight until the last ship was destroyed. But he was not a fool. He was old enough to recognize defeat when he saw it. All ships, he commanded, his voice hollow. Power down weapons. Signal surrender. Across the fleet, Kovani warships went dark. Their weapons fell silent. Their shields dropped. On the Baekdu, cheering erupted. Tayson grabbed Seojun in a bear hug. Yuna allowed herself a small smile. Even Jiwoo, serious Jiwoo, let out a breath of relief. Du Hyan opened a channel to the enemy flagship. Supreme Commander Veltrix, you came here to harvest my people. You came here to enslave us. You came here believing we were nothing. He paused, letting the words settle. Now you know the truth. We were never nothing. We were waiting. And now, you will answer for every world you have destroyed, every life you have taken, every civilization you have erased. The harvest is over. A new era begins today. Veltrix said nothing. What could he say? The impossible had happened. The primitives had won. And across the galaxy, On every world where human ships had decloaked, the same message spread. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. 3 months had passed at the Battle of Seoul. 3 months since humanity had emerged from the shadows and shattered the old order of the galaxy. Now, on Velos Prime, a new chapter was beginning. The Galactic Council Chamber had been rebuilt. The old half-moon arrangement was gone, replaced by a circular table where every species sat as equals. New seats had been added for representatives of the 400 worlds that had once been classified as resources. They were resources no longer. Ambassador Kang Yeonwoo entered the chamber with measured steps. She was 62 years old, her hair silver, her eyes sharp. She had spent 15 years living among the stars, pretending to be a minor official in a conquered species government. She had watched. She had learned. She had waited for this day. Now she was the voice of Earth. The chamber fell silent as she took her place at the table. Around her sat the representatives of 7 former council species, their confidence broken, their arrogance stripped away. High Arbiter Mollix was present, though he was no longer High Arbiter. His crystalline form had dulled, its light fading with his power. "We are gathered here to establish the terms of the new Galactic Accord," Yeonwoo began. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "For 10,000 years, the strong have ruled this galaxy. The strong have decided who lives and who dies. The strong have harvested the weak. That era is over." Mollix stirred, his crystalline body making a sound like cracking ice. "And what do you propose instead? That the weak rule the strong? That chaos replace order?" Yeonwoo met his gaze without flinching. "I propose that no one rules. I propose that every species, whether they discovered fold space 1,000,000 years ago or yesterday, has the same right to exist. I propose that the word harvest is erased from galactic law forever." She activated a holographic display. Maps appeared, showing hundreds of worlds marked with chains, the slave colonies of the old Union. There are 237 active slave colonies in this galaxy. 68 billion sentient beings live in bondage, forced to work until they die so that the council species can enjoy comfort and luxury. This ends today. Every colony will be liberated. Every slave will be freed. Every species will choose its own future. The Drexy ambassador, the serpentine creature who had laughed at humanity 3 months ago, coiled with agitation. You cannot simply dismantle an economic system that has existed for millennia. The disruption would be catastrophic. You should have thought about that before you built your economy on suffering, Yeonwoo replied. Humanity will provide resources to ease the transition. We will share technology. We will help build new industries that do not require slaves. A deliberation is not negotiable. She turned to address the entire chamber. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking that humanity is a young species, that we lack the wisdom to lead a galaxy. You are thinking that our power will corrupt us, that we will become what you were. You are thinking that this is simply a transfer of tyranny from old masters to new. She paused, letting the silence stretch. You are wrong. We did not fight this war to become rulers. We fought it because we remember what it feels like to be afraid. We remember looking at the stars and wondering if monsters waited there. We remember preparing for decades, never sure if we would survive. That fear taught us something important. Her voice softened, but it carried through the chamber like a bell. Power means nothing if you use it to hurt others. Strength means nothing if you use it to enslave. The galaxy is vast. There is room for everyone. There is no need to harvest or conquer or dominate. There is only the need to live together in peace. The Borvan delegate, the armored creature who had voted to harvest Earth, spoke for the first time. His voice was deep and rumbling, like stones shifting underground. Words are easy. Actions are difficult. How do we know humanity will keep its promises? Yan Wu nodded. It was a fair question. Aboard the carrier Baekdu, our engineers are preparing a gift for every species in the galaxy. We are sharing our stealth technology, not a limited version. The full system with all of its capabilities. Shock rippled through the chamber. Mollix's crystalline form flickered with disbelief. You would give away your greatest advantage? The technology that allowed you to win? Yes, because we do not want to be the only ones who can hide. We want every species to have the ability to protect themselves. We want a galaxy where no one can be hunted, where no fleet can surprise a helpless world, where every civilization can choose to observe before revealing themselves. She smiled slightly, and there was warmth in it. We were afraid for 50 years. We lived in hiding, watching and waiting, never sure if we would survive. We would not wish that fear on anyone. But if others must be afraid, let them be afraid of each other equally. Let every species know that their neighbors can see without being seen. Let mutual uncertainty become mutual respect. The chamber was silent, processing the implications. With universal stealth technology, the military dominance of any single species became impossible. Surprise attacks became impossible. The very nature of galactic warfare would change forever. Admiral Park Do-hyun watched the proceedings from a display aboard the Baekdu, orbiting high above Velos Prime. Commander Yuna stood beside him, her arms crossed, her expression thoughtful. Do you think they will accept? She asked. Some will, some will not. The ones who refuse will find themselves isolated, surrounded by worlds that can hide from their aggression. Eventually, they will learn. Or they will fade away. Chief Engineer Tayson joined them, holding a datapad showing the technical specifications being transmitted to the galaxy. The first copies of the stealth technology are being downloaded now. By this time tomorrow, 100 worlds will have access to our systems. And a year from now? Do-hyun asked. Every world, every ship, every species that wants it. The galaxy will be full of ghosts. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Good. Let everyone learn to be patient. Let everyone learn to watch before acting. Let everyone learn what we learned in the dark. On the surface of Velos Prime, in a plaza outside the council chamber, something remarkable was happening. For the first time in galactic history, former slaves walked free in the heart of their master's civilization. They were thin and worn, their bodies marked by years of labor, but their eyes shone with hope. Medical Officer Yoon Hana moved among them, her team providing care to those who needed it. She was older now, her hair gray, her hands still gentle after all these years. She had served aboard the Dokdo during the early years of watching. She had seen the harvests. She had documented the horrors. Now she helped to heal them. A child approached her, a small being with 6 arms and large, curious eyes. The child's species had been enslaved for 300 years. This child had never known freedom. What happens now? The child asked in the translator's flat tones. Hannah knelt to meet the child's eyes. Now you grow up. Now you learn. Now you choose what you want to be. No one will tell you what you must do. No one will take you away from your family. You are free. The child considered this for a long moment. Then, slowly a smile spread across its alien face. Free, the child repeated. I like that word. Hannah smiled back, though tears gathered in her eyes. So do we. We fought a war for that word. Above the planet, the Baekdu maintained its orbit. Admiral Do-hyun stood at the observation window, looking down at the world that had once threatened everything he loved. It looked peaceful now. Perhaps, in time, it would actually become peaceful. Yuna joined him, a cup of tea in each hand. She offered one to him, and he accepted it gratefully. What are you thinking? she asked. Do-hyun considered the question. I am thinking about my daughter. She called me yesterday. She said her students are no longer afraid to look at the stars. They used to have nightmares about aliens coming to take them away. Now they dream about exploring the galaxy. That is why we fought, Yuna said. So children would not have to be afraid. Yes, Do-hyun sipped his tea, feeling the warmth spread through him. But our work is not done. The galaxy is vast. There may be others out there, beyond the Union's borders, waiting in their own silence. Others who might see what we have built and want to destroy it. Yuna nodded. Then we will keep watching. We will keep preparing. That is what we do. That is what we do, Do-hyun agreed. Somewhere in the distant reaches of space, a small human probe drifted silently through the void. It was invisible, undetectable, designed to observe without being seen. It had been traveling for 20 years, sent out during the early days of humanity's secret program. It was still watching, still gathering data, still waiting for signals of something new. Humanity had learned the value of patience. They had learned the power of silence. And they had learned that the universe was full of surprises. They would be ready for whatever came next. Back on Velos Prime, as the sun set over the council chamber, Ambassador Yeonwoo finished presenting humanity's terms. The vote came quickly. Every species agreed. The Galactic Accord was signed. The slave colonies were ordered liberated. A new era began. And in orbit, Admiral Do-hyun raised his cup in a silent toast to the stars. To the Watchers, he said quietly. To those who hid in the dark so that others could live in the light. May we never be needed again. But if they were needed, they would be there. Invisible, patient, ready.